What if I told you that the secrets to slashing your grocery bills, nourishing your family, and rediscovering the lost art of simple, powerful cooking are quietly preserved in communities that reject modern conveniences altogether? The Amish have lived for centuries without electricity, without supermarkets, and without debt. And yet, they thrive. Today, you'll uncover 50 secret cooking tricks the Amish use every day. Tricks that could transform your kitchen, cut your food costs in half, and rekindle something far more valuable than money: peace of mind. Stick with me. By the end, you won't just save money, you'll change the way you see food forever. The foundation of Amish frugality. The pantry principle. The Amish don't shop for dinner, they store for the season. Imagine a pantry where everything has a purpose: jars of pickled beets, shelves of homegrown flour, sacks of dried beans. This system isn't rustic, it's revolutionary. Start building your pantry not with trends but with timeless staples: rice, beans, oats, and here's the trick: they buy in bulk, then divide into glass jars for visibility and shelf life. This one shift alone can cut your spending by 30%. But what happens when your fresh produce starts to rot? The Amish have a cure for that. Cold storage without a fridge root cellars. It sounds old-fashioned, but the science is brilliant. By burying a space underground, sometimes as simple as a barrel or cooler in the earth, the Amish preserve potatoes, carrots, apples for months. Don't have a cellar? No problem. Use insulated bins, wrap in newspaper, and store in a dark, cool space. You'll reduce food waste and reliance on freezers. And when it comes to milk, you won't believe how they make it last longer without refrigeration. Raw milk preservation. The Amish often milk cows daily, but they don't waste a drop. They use raw milk to make buttermilk, cheese, yogurt, all within 24 hours. The secret? Fermentation, turning perishables into preserved food. You can use store-bought milk too, just start with yogurt cultures. Cost? Just a few cents a serving. Taste? Beyond words. Think about how much you spend each month on yogurt cups, shredded cheese, or sour cream. What if you could eliminate all of that? Cooking with intention. Cooking once, eating thrice. In Amish homes, a pot of stew isn't one dinner, it's 3. They repurpose leftovers with creativity. Stew becomes pie filling, then soup base, then a sandwich spread. Nothing goes to waste. This mindset turns one $15 meal into 3 hearty dinners for a family of 6. And here's how they do it. Always cook extra, store it smart, reseason it well. But what happens when meat is a luxury you can't afford every week? Protein without meat. Amish cooking is heavy on flavor, but light on meat. They use beans, lentils, eggs, and even nuts as affordable protein-rich alternatives. One favorite? Scrapple, a mix of cornmeal and pork trimmings, stretching flavor over many meals. For vegetarians, there's bean meatloaf, packed with spices and breadcrumbs. It's hearty, satisfying, and cheap. But you'll need something to go with all that protein. And Amish breads? They're not just delicious, they're pennies to make. Bread baking mastery. Amish kitchens are bread havens. From whole wheat loaves to cinnamon rolls, they bake 3 to 4 times a week. Why? Because flour is cheap, filling, and versatile. Their secret trick? Let dough rise overnight in a cool place. No fancy mixers required. You get fluffier bread, lower energy bills, and fewer preservatives. Bonus, homemade bread costs under 50 cents per loaf. But what about treats? Do the Amish ever indulge? Their answer might surprise you. Stretching every ingredient. The power of potato water. When the Amish boil potatoes, they don't toss the water. Why? Because that starchy liquid is liquid gold. It thickens soups, adds richness to bread dough, and even makes a hearty gravy without using milk or cream. It's one of the simplest money-saving switches you'll ever make. Next time you boil anything, save that water. Because where others see waste, the Amish see resource. And speaking of potatoes, there's a way they stretch one crop into 5 meals. Let me tell you how. The 5-way potato system. The Amish use potatoes like a blank canvas. First night, mashed. Second, fried cakes. Third, potato soup. Fourth, hash with eggs. Fifth, mixed into bread or rolls. That's not repetition, it's reinvention. They don't throw out leftovers, they transform them. This 5-way system turns one cheap sack of potatoes into a full week of hearty sides and meals. Now let's talk about flavor. Because the Amish don't buy expensive sauces, they brew their own magic. Homemade broth concentrates, no bouillon cubes, no cartons, just bones, scraps, herbs, and thyme. The Amish simmer chicken bones with carrot tops, onion skins, and celery stalks for hours. The result? A deeply rich broth that costs pennies. They store it in jars, freeze it in ice cube trays, and use it to elevate even the simplest dish. Flavor like this can't be bought, it must be earned. Imagine feeding your family something as rich as restaurant stock for less than $1 a gallon. That's power. The lard legacy. In an Amish kitchen, lard is not a dirty word, it's a prized ingredient. They render it themselves from pork fat, creating a shelf-stable, versatile fat that replaces butter, oil, or shortening. Used in flaky pie crusts, crispy fried chicken, and even soap, lard stretches every dollar. And unlike margarine, it contains no artificial additives. If you've never cooked with real lard, you've never tasted true crispness. But what if you could grow your fat source instead of buying it? Growing and gathering for less sunflower oil from the garden. Yes, the Amish grow sunflowers. Not just for beauty, but for oil. With a small hand press, they extract their own cooking oil right from the seeds. You can do this too on a small scale, especially with rising prices in grocery stores. Sunflowers grow fast, require little care, and produce a high yield per square foot. Plant once, harvest for years. But if you don't have land, don't worry. There are hidden groceries right in your backyard. Wild greens. Nature's free salad. The Amish forage. They find nutrition where most of us see weeds. Dandelion leaves, lamb's quarters, chickweed, all rich in vitamins, all free. They blanch them, mix into soups, or sauté with onions and vinegar. No plastic packaging, no price tags, just pure nourishment. Once you learn to identify wild edibles, your grocery bill shrinks, and your confidence grows. But how do they get fruit without buying it every week? The answer is sweet and surprising. Fruit stealing. No, they don't steal, but they inherit fruit. The Amish plant long-living fruit trees, apples, pears, plums. Each tree yields for decades, and many were planted by parents or grandparents. They tend these trees not as chores, but as legacies. Plant one fruit tree this year, and in 5 years you'll never pay for apples again. Food prices will rise, but a tree you plant today will feed your children tomorrow. Preserving without electricity. No freezer? No problem. The Amish dry their apples on strings above wood stoves. They can tomatoes by the gallon. They pickle everything from cucumbers to eggs. They use salt, vinegar, sugar, and sunshine. Their pantry isn't full of boxes, it's full of jars. You don't need a pressure canner to get started. Just begin with vinegar, sugar, and a few mason jars. And once your pantry is full, how do you cook it all without burning money on gas or electricity? Cooking with fire, not bills. The Amish cook over wood stoves, not just for food, but for warmth. Every log they burn does double duty. They bake, boil, roast, and heat water for baths, all in one place. In warmer months, they use solar ovens or outdoor grills built from bricks. You can mimic this by batch cooking on weekends, using a Dutch oven, or slow cooking in thermal bags. It's all about heat conservation and intention. And now that we've warmed your home, let's warm your soul with Amish comfort food made for pennies. Amish macaroni magic. They don't buy boxed mac and cheese. They make a rich sauce from flour, butter, milk, and home-shredded cheese, then bake it with breadcrumbs. It's affordable, filling, and stretches across multiple meals. Add canned tuna or steamed broccoli, and you've got dinner for under $1.50 a serving. No preservatives, just real, honest comfort. And now a dessert trick passed down through generations that requires no eggs, no butter, and barely any cost. Amish baking secrets and desserts that save Depression-era cake. During hard times, Amish families turn to what's called wacky cake, a chocolate cake made without eggs, milk, or butter. Just flour, vinegar, cocoa powder, sugar, baking soda, water, and oil. The result? A soft, moist cake that keeps for days. It was born in the Great Depression and kept alive in Amish kitchens for one reason. It works. This cake costs under $2 to make, and it feeds a family with dignity. But what if I told you they make a pie crust that doesn't even need butter or shortening? The vinegar pie crust, a dash of vinegar makes the crust tender, without expensive fats. The Amish use flour, oil, salt, water, and a spoonful of vinegar to create a dough that rolls out smooth and bakes flaky. It's fast, forgiving, and foolproof. Perfect for savory pies, tarts, or dessert fillings like apples or dried fruits from their pantry. Once you try this method, store-bought crust will feel like a waste. Now let's add something special, without adding to your budget. The Amish have a clever way of turning leftover bread into dessert. Bread pudding mastery. Leftover bread? The Amish turn it into gold. Torn bread soaked in a mix of milk, eggs, sugar, and cinnamon, baked into a pudding that's rich, comforting, and completely waste-free. They even drizzle it with a sauce made from cornstarch and brown sugar. It's sweet, hearty, and costs less than $1 to prepare. In Amish kitchens, nothing goes to waste, not even stale slices. But even with all this baking, what happens when sugar is scarce? The Amish have a natural answer growing right outside. Natural sweeteners, the sorghum secret. Instead of relying on white sugar, the Amish grow sorghum, a tall grain they press into syrup. It's earthy, rich, and incredibly versatile. Used in baked beans, gingerbread, or pancakes, sorghum syrup is cheaper than maple and more sustainable than processed sugar. They also make use of honey, fruit reductions, and even beet sugar they grow themselves. This isn't just about saving money, it's about owning your sweetener supply. And speaking of independence, what if your spices could come from your own backyard? Flavors from the land, growing your own spice rack. The Amish grow nearly every herb they use: sage, thyme, dill, basil, mint. They hang them to dry, crush them by hand, and store them in glass jars. No additives, no plastic bottles, just pure homegrown flavor. You can grow most herbs in pots on a windowsill. One $2 seed packet gives you a year's worth of seasoning. And when they need seasoning blends, they don't buy them. They mix their own Amish allspice. Amish seasoning mixes. Why buy taco seasoning or Italian blends when you can mix your own? The Amish create their blends in batches. Garlic powder, onion, paprika, salt, pepper, custom to taste. Their all-purpose blend goes into meats, vegetables, even bread dough. By mixing once, they save time and money all year. Plus, no fillers, MSG, or mystery ingredients, just real food flavor. And now we reach one of their most sacred secrets: how they keep cooking even when money, ingredients, or time runs out. The Amish philosophy of enough. The weekly menu plan. The Amish don't meal prep in plastic containers. They create a rotating weekly menu based on what's in season, what's preserved, and what needs using. Monday is soup. Tuesday might be baked goods. Friday, leftovers. This reduces decision fatigue, eliminates impulse shopping, and keeps waste near zero. It's not about restriction, it's about rhythm. A rhythm that feeds not just the body, but the soul. Efficiency in every bite. One dough, 5 bakes in Amish kitchens. Versatility is everything. They use one basic dough recipe: flour, water, yeast, salt, and a little oil to make loaves, rolls, pizza bases, cinnamon buns, and even fried donuts. It's a master dough that adapts to every need, saving time, ingredients, and energy. This one trick means you can prep once, then bake all week. It's baking, simplified, and best of all, it costs just cents per serving. But what do you do when there's no yeast in the pantry? Natural yeast, Amish sourdough. Starter. When yeast is scarce, the Amish turn to the oldest trick in the book: sourdough. They make a natural starter using just flour and water, allowing wild yeast to work its magic. This starter is fed daily and becomes a living kitchen companion, rising breads, pancakes, muffins, and more. It's resilient, free, and uniquely yours. And the best part, you'll never need to buy yeast again. From fermentation to preservation, let's talk about the secret vinegar that costs nothing to make. Apple scrap vinegar. When peeling apples for pies or sauce, the Amish don't toss the scraps. They turn them into vinegar. Just toss peels and cores into a jar with water and sugar, cover loosely, and wait. In a few weeks, you'll have raw, homemade vinegar for pickling, cooking, and cleaning. It's zero waste and endlessly useful. The modern world throws out what the Amish turn into treasure. Speaking of treasures, how do they feed a family when there's no money at all? The bottom of the barrel soup. This isn't just soup, it's survival. At the end of the week, every scrap, vegetables, bones, broth, herbs, gets tossed into one big pot. It simmers for hours and transforms into a deep, nourishing stew that tastes like home. They call it bottom of the barrel, not with shame, but with pride. It's a celebration of resourcefulness, not lack. This soup reminds us abundance isn't about what you have, it's about what you can do with what's left. Community-powered kitchens. Bulk buying with the community. Amish families often pool resources to buy grains, oil, and dry goods in bulk. They split 50-pound sacks of flour or rice, getting wholesale prices that beat every store. This isn't just about discounts, it's about shared resilience. And you can do it too. Form a buying club with friends or neighbors and save hundreds per year. And when it's harvest season, their secret to abundance isn't what you think. Community canning bees. Canning is hard work, so they do it together. Entire communities gather in one kitchen, peeling, slicing, jarring, boiling, preserving bushels of tomatoes, beans, corn, and fruits. It's not just efficient, it's joyful. Stories are shared, songs are sung, and shelves are filled for winter. It's a reminder, when food is a shared task, it becomes a shared celebration. And when food gets scarce, they fall back on a forgotten superfood hidden in plain sight. The humble eggs are a powerhouse in Amish kitchens. Boiled for lunch, scrambled for breakfast, baked into casseroles, mixed into noodles, even preserved in lime water for winter. Just one hen can lay over 250 eggs per year. Whether fresh or preserved, eggs are their go-to protein. Simple, inexpensive, nutrient-rich. And when they need noodles, they don't buy them. They roll them by hand. Handmade Amish noodles. Flour, eggs, salt, and thyme. The Amish roll and cut noodles with precision, drying them on racks or backs of chairs. Stored in jars, they last for months, ready for soups, stews, and casseroles. No preservatives, no boxes, no cost beyond pennies. Once you taste fresh handmade noodles, you'll never crave store-bought again. And what if I told you their ultimate secret weapon is beans? The bean bank dried beans are a cornerstone of Amish survival. Lentils, black beans, navy beans, soaked overnight, cooked slow, and transformed into hearty meals. They use them in soups, loaves, salads, and spreads. For under $1, you can feed a family of 4. They call it their bean bank, a food they always have, always rely on, and always respect. But what's their secret to flavor when meat is off the table? Meatless umami. The Amish build deep flavor with caramelized onions, fermented cabbage, roasted roots, and spice blends. They use mushrooms, smoked paprika, mustard seeds, and tangy vinegar to mimic the richness of meat. It's not about deprivation, it's about depth. These flavors satisfy, nourish, and stretch your meals far beyond their cost. Mastering every season, every situation. Seasonal meal rotation. The Amish don't cook the same way in summer as they do in winter. Their menus rotate with the seasons, cucumbers and tomatoes in July, root vegetables and beans in December. This isn't just practical, it's deeply economical. By eating what's in season and growing around them, they avoid inflated prices and food waste. The secret? A little planning and a deep respect for nature's rhythm. And when the garden doesn't grow, they have a secret stash. The hidden shelf, dry mixes. In Amish homes, you'll often find a shelf lined with glass jars of homemade dry mixes. Pancake mix, muffin mix, biscuit mix, soup starters, all pre-measured, homemade, and shelf-stable. They cut prep time in half and save money by skipping boxed versions full of preservatives. You don't need a pantry full of boxes, you need a system. And this is it. And what if you had to feed a group fast with almost nothing? Haystack meals. No, not literal hay. A haystack is an Amish potluck classic. Layers of rice, beans, meat or eggs, shredded lettuce, cheese, homemade salsa, and crushed crackers. Each person builds their own stack, like a taco salad with humble roots. It's cheap, satisfying, and endlessly flexible. One base ingredient, many toppings, no waste. And perfect for feeding a crowd. But what if you had only flour and water? The Amish still make magic. Amish flatbread on the fly flour, water, a pinch of salt, and a hot skillet. That's all it takes. The Amish make flatbreads in minutes. Rolled thin and cooked dry. Perfect for wraps, sandwiches, or tear and dip meals. They require no rising, no oven, no yeast. In an emergency, these flatbreads are lifesavers. When the power's out and shelves are bare, knowing how to make bread with just flour and water could mean everything. Cornmeal creativity. Cornmeal is another Amish staple that goes far. They use it in mush, cornbread, batters, pancakes, and even desserts. It stores for months and costs just cents per serving. 1 pound of cornmeal can stretch into breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's simple food that never disappoints. But sometimes you don't need food to save food. You need wisdom. The clean-as-you-go rule. This isn't just about tidiness, it's about efficiency and safety. The Amish clean as they cook to reduce clutter, avoid cross-contamination, and preserve leftovers properly. Their kitchens are organized, not chaotic. It saves time, protects your health, and keeps your mind focused on the joy of preparing a meal, not the mess afterward. And when a dish is done, they don't toss the pan water. They reuse it. Reusing boil water for broth or plants. After boiling vegetables or pasta, the Amish often save that water, rich in nutrients. They use it to start soups, thicken sauces, or even water plants. It's not just sustainability, it's common sense. This simple habit saves money on broth, feeds your garden, and respects the gift of every ingredient. Rooted in wisdom, driven by purpose. Fridge-free leftover management before refrigeration, leftovers were stored in cool basements, root cellars, or covered with damp cloths. The Amish still practice cool storage, placing jars in clay crocks or submerging food in vinegar or brine. They trust their senses, smell, texture, color. You can mimic this with insulated coolers, shaded storage, or vinegar-based preservation. And when food is running low, they don't panic. They forage. Foraging after frost. After the first frost, wild greens like chickweed and lamb's quarters become sweeter. The Amish take advantage of this window, gathering nutrition when it's least expected. It's seasonal wisdom passed down through generations. They know where to look and how to harvest with care. In tough times, this knowledge becomes survival. But even in prosperity, they never let pride get in the way of savings. Humble ingredients, honest meals. There's no shame in simple food. Beans, rice, potatoes, bread, they're not signs of poverty, but power. The Amish remind us that meals don't have to be fancy to be fulfilling. They don't chase trends or brands, they chase nourishment, satisfaction, and gratitude. And that mindset is more valuable than gold.